Valley, California. We have five teams from 5 counties, right? Is that right? Am I saying it right?
Yes.
And we started a year and a half ago, and we revamped. We started in January a second cohort, and we revamped it. And Cassandra's going to tell you about the uniqueness in contribution from this community.
Right, so we're a very young NRF community because this is only our 2nd year of training in NRF, and we're not anywhere close to the systems change elements yet. We're really trying to get at some very fundamental mental health concepts with the practitioners that we're training. And one of the key issues for us as the Central Valley of California is that we are a very racially and ethnically diverse region with a lot of populations that have experienced historical trauma. We have the Armenian population that came to the U.S. escaping the Armenian genocide. We have the Hmong population. We have African Americans who left the South escaping slavery and all of the segregation as a result of that. And also a very large number of Mexicans, of course, some documented, many undocumented. So the practitioners in our region were saying that they really felt ill-equipped to work with the very diverse populations in our region, and that they really needed more training and understanding how family systems work from a cultural perspective. So we had already fallen in love with the NRF as a model for training our practitioners, but we felt that we needed to really add to our NRF training a cultural competency framework. So the one that we chose was one called Use of Self as a Cultural Being. It was developed by Dr. Valerie Batts with an organization called Visions. And the reason we felt this particular framework was so relevant was that it really focuses on systems. It's not only focusing on interpersonal dynamics and how race and ethnicity might play out in dialogue in that way, but also how do institutions and structures within communities either support or not support people from historically oppressed groups. So the paradigm shift that we were trying to achieve with the cultural piece was to move our practitioners from a view of monoculturalism to a view of pluralism, where differences are accepted at multiple levels: personal level, interpersonal, institutional, and cultural. But then the question became, okay, so we don't want to have 2 parallel tracks of frameworks. We don't want the NRF here and this use of self framework here. How do we meld them? So we started to develop questions around Connie's 3 steps, right? The toxic stress, the stress and stress recovery piece, the levels of engagement piece, and the individual differences piece. We developed a set of questions that would prompt clinicians to ask as they were going through each step. Just as, and I have a handout that I'll leave with you, but as an example, how might culture influence levels of engagement within the parent-child dyad? And we give them examples like what might be the rate of engagement, what might be the speed of serve and return patterns, the tone, the volume, etc. All of these interpersonal dynamics, right, are being influenced by culture. At the same time, how might institutional racism, how might structural barriers and access to, or lack thereof of access to mental health services influence how a family might view the relationship with the practitioner and their willingness to really engage with the practitioner. So that was sort of our big task here, was to meld these 2 frameworks. And what we're hoping is that at the end, because Connie's, the framework is so complex that culture overlays in terms of attitudes and belief systems and cultural traditions just fit really well as an overlay with the NRF. And finally, we are most pleased with sort of the impact that this training has had so far. I'm with the university, by the way. I failed to say I'm with Fresno State.
Yeah, tell us who you are.
Okay, I didn't even do that. I'm Cassandra Joubert. I'm professor in public health at Fresno State, California State University, Fresno, and we do a lot of infant mental health training. But of course, we also like to do a lot of research in pre and post evals, and we found that our training really brought people to better understand the impact of oppression on diverse families, and also how they as clinicians can better support families by addressing some of the institutional barriers that they face. So, thank you very much.